Good afternoon, good evening, good morning for everyone who is listening to us. Also, the ones that will see us in deferred. Welcome to this live from overwhelm to alignment and how leaders reclaim energy, clarity, and presence. It's just fantastic because today we have an incredible guest that I met about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years, I think, Kuan Yu.
Yes.
In our, together with our mentor, dear mentor, Wee Leg, and we met May of 2024 personally in Singapore.
Yes.
And for everyone that doesn't know me, I'm Maya Schmidt, organizational transformation expert with human focus. And I what I do is I help C-suite leaders and their teams navigate change, thriving and not only surviving from a self-leadership perspective. And I use the Leap Advantage movement that is a transformational framework of 3 stages. But today, I have the privilege to introduce you to Dr. Kuan Yu Yong. He is originally from Malaysia but lives in Singapore. And the beauty of this wonderful soul is that he's a medical doctor, yet he's a healer too, and an abundance coach. And he's an amazing being that has transformed science together with divine and abundance and deep soul healing, which we as humans, normal humans, sometimes don't even get because he really works with energy. And he's a father, he's a doctor, he's an excellent friend, coach, healer, so many things. But I want to welcome him and have him give you a little bit more details about him, and then we get started on how that overwhelm gets to an alignment. Welcome, Dr. Kuan Yu Young, to this live.
Thank you, Maya. Muchas gracias. Buen día. I know, Maya, you have an international audience, and I like to honor that, and like to say hi to your wonderful audience. Thank you for having me on this LinkedIn Live. And thank you for those very kind words of introduction. I'm deeply honored and humbled. And I'd like to add that Maya is also an amazing lady. She has so much experience and she has so much positive energy that, as I recall, during our meet in May 2024, she is like the most energetic person in the room for 2-3 days straight. Like everybody is just fired up because of her presence, and that is what she brings to organizations. She brings in positivity, positive change, and she brings in the energy. And that I salute you, Maya, for being able to do that.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so wonderful. Thank you for being here today. You know, for Kuan Yu, it's early 7 a.m., 7:15, but Thursday, 14 hours ahead, and just gives it around to the whole world to be here early in the morning and serve to our audience, and welcome also to your audience on the other side of the world. I'm so honored. Thank you for those wonderful words. And to start, I just wanted, I'm so excited actually to be here with you because
También.
I just want to go into the energetic part of our body and what actually happens in the body of a leader who lives in chronic overwhelm, which is something that a lot of leaders live nowadays, with that stress, with that burnout, with that automatic pilot. What happens to our body?
Oh, very true, Maya, in that professionals and executives dealing with deadlines, dealing with the demands of the organization, dealing with disruption of industry, technology, and competition. This all weighs on a person, an executive. And what happens is we have um, the process of acute stress, and then it moves on to chronic stress. When we're in chronic stress, which we'll dive in a little bit deeper subsequently as well, but first up is that this chronic stress, it drives the adrenaline and the cortisol in the body, and this what it does is like a flame that's slowly burning the body, and this is a process of inflammation. And this inflammation is the reason why a person comes to the office, neck and back pain, poor sleep, fatigue, um, fall sick easily. There is a high absentee rate when this happens. And when a person is in this physiological state, is feeling unwell, is feeling tired, is feeling frustrated, okay, what happens is they bring this energy of low energy to wherever they are, whether it's the boardroom, whether it's the office. And like it or not, this energy can be contagious, and it actually brings down the energy of the room. It brings down the energy of the team, because a person is there and he's actually not in sync, not in the positive vibration, but it's actually feeling very, very low inside, because the energy is low, the mode is low. And what happens is this is what's happening in the physiology, and it's actually it can be felt. Yeah, I think every one of us in the audience, you have noticed a person who is what we call in energy terms an energy vampire. When you are near to the person and you speak to the person, in 5 minutes you feel drained. It's as if you've spoken to the person for 2 hours, and the person has been throwing all the saddest life stories at you, although it has been 5 minutes. So what this is what a leader brings to the room if they are not aware of what's actually happening inside. Yes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of us, and I was there too. We are in automatic pilot, and we don't watch ourselves. We give and give and give. Everything to the organization, and we are just looking at numbers, at processes, at getting things done, and we don't recharge or have downtime. So that becomes so critical, actually, for organizations, for the leaders, because, as you said, it's extremely contagious. Um, there is research that it's actually negative thoughts or draining energy is 4 times more contagious than the positive one. So to bring it up, that is one of our tasks, to be a conscious leader, to be that leader that impacts positively, that's inspirational in the organizations.
Yeah, I just like to jump in here and mention that you mentioned 4 times more contagious. And I think it also marries in with the adage or the wisdom that if you give a person a criticism, you need 3 positive comments to neutralize that negative criticism. I think this matches.
Yeah, it makes it, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
That is, when we work in such stressful organizations, which today, I mean, everything is stress. Everything is go, 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 and we don't celebrate the small stuff. We
Mm,
don't celebrate. We have the yearly objectives, and we
yes.
go for that, and
Yes.
then we don't break it down into half year, a quarterly, half year, nor into weeks or days. And actually, any process of change within the organization, which today is a constant,
Mm,
should be broken down and really celebrate those small progresses,
yeah.
so we feed and nurture our energy level. What do you
Mm.
what do you have to say about that?
I would say I totally agree in that in the process of getting things done, hitting the quarterly outcome, the yearly outcome, looking at KPIs and the bottom line, what we often see is that where are we going to? Where do we need to go to? And it's about the gap of where we are and where we want to go. And rarely, and this is very common in the high functioning, high professional clients I work with, is that they rarely look at the gain. They really look at how far we've come, what have we achieved, and it's all about what have we got to cover, what do we need to do next. And there is
Yes.
no pause, there is no celebrating of the gains, the wins, and this is what actually helps us check in, help us gain that positivity and that sense of appreciation and gratitude that counts so much for a person's peace and well-being and equanimity.
Yes. I mean, it's totally. Have you heard? And this really made I identified immediately. The higher the purpose,
Mhm.
the higher the vibration is, the
Mhm.
smaller the problems become. But
Mm.
in our minds, we vouch for those high outcomes, objectives, and we don't stop to see what we have actually achieved. I mean, it
Yes.
happened to me in the past. You
Mm.
know, it was never enough. It
Mm.
was always going forward, 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 and we didn't celebrate any of the small wins, because
Mhm.
as long as we progress,
Mhm.
we can really nurture that into our mind, our heart, uh, to bring back that energy to our colleagues, our organization.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think so many high achievers normalize fatigue and brain fog as part of their success?
Yeah. A very good, very good observation, Maya. What I think is that, and I've been there as well, is that in the when we are pursuing something and we are going full throttle, full speed ahead, sometimes we miss the scenery. And what happens in the body is that our body is intelligent. It gives us signals. It tells you that, oh, I'm aching over here. It tells you that it gives you that ping of fatigue and that you need to rest. But then when we are so everything's in the mind and you're not here in the heart, everything's in the mind, and we are just pursuing the goal in front, we stop listening to what the body is telling us. We stop listening to that wisdom, that whisper that, check in, take a rest, hydrate yourself, go to the loo. All these things we do not hear it. Some doctors I know, like they will just hold everything in. They do not even feel the sensation. They visit the loo like 2 times a day when the usual frequency is 6 times. So and we ignore the hunger, we ignore the fatigue, we ignore the migraines because we have a goal to achieve. And when that happens, the body's whispers get ignored, and slowly what it becomes a shout. And we ignore the shout, it becomes a push and a shove, and that's when we end up in the hospital or in the emergency room. And we really, really do not want that. And what that looks like is a person who is fatigued, and then his poor sleep, and then when you have sleep debt, the body starts feeling the fatigue, the blood pressure, the heart rate starts to mount, your immunity goes down, and then when an infection hits, you're out for a week, you're out for 2 weeks. And to think that, oh, let me forego that 30 minutes rest, let me forego that 1 hour relaxation, but what you pay in return is 1 week or 2 weeks of being absent from work. And then you this is the this is irony. Now you have 2 weeks of work that you need to catch up after being out of action.
Wow. Yeah, we never see that those small signs.
Hmm.
We just say, oh, yeah, it's normal. I've worked 12, 14 hours. It's normal that I'm tired, and we keep on going and going and going. We even take vitamins. We even take all those surpluses just to cover it up. And at the end, it just
Yeah.
um, is very damaging for us, and we have worse consequences on that. Now, I'm very
Mm.
curious, and I think your story is so amazing. What made you jump from a medical doctor to integrate all the divine and the energy work and everything that you're doing now, Kuan Yu?
Thank you, Maya, for the question. To talk about this, I could go on for 2 hours, but to be truly certain about this is that I experienced multiple low points in my life. Physical, I had because I went through that. I ignored my body. I had back pain, and by the time at the age of 26, when I did an MRI, I noted that I had bone spurs, osteophytes over my cervical vertebrae, and this usually appears at the age of 60. So my body is aging like 3 decades earlier, and this got me like high alert. And what can I do? And I know that in the Western medical practice, and at that time I sought the radiologist's opinion, I sought the orthopedic surgeon's opinion, and it's like, oh, if you do not have any numbness, do not have any weakness, it's fine. Come back to us when you have any of that, and let's do surgery then. But I think that is like I am not happy with that answer. I want to know what can I do to truly take care of myself, to because without doing a surgery, but I'm facing the pain every day, in and out. I have feel the restriction in my neck, and I don't want to rely on painkillers day in, day out. And this is just one point of the entire journey. And throughout the other parts of my journey, I experienced very, very deep mental suffering in terms of anxiety, in terms of burnout. And I know that this cannot be treated with pills. It needs a whole person, integrative and holistic approach to look at how are we functioning in our daily lives, what are our thoughts, what are our the emotional baggage that we've been carrying, and this needs to resolve one by one before we can function at our best. And it's because of this, in the process of healing myself, I went traveling around the world, experiencing different healing methods, complementary alternative, and among many of these modalities, the one of the first I picked up is acupuncture. Subsequently, it's about diving into the subconscious mind, because 90% of the decisions that we make, the actions that we do, who we are actually comes from the subconscious mind. If we want to change ourselves to the better, we need to go at that level. That is where the change is the biggest. And along the way, as I sought to help people faster and better, I started integrating all the modalities that I've learned over the years, and now the form is called quantum trauma transmutation. And I believe, Maya, you had a taste of it sometime prior. At that time, the name it wasn't concrete yet, but it was a process in development. And now it's getting faster and better, helping people with physical pain, mental anxiety, emotional grief, shame, and then also for people who are looking at the spiritual evolution and ascension. This can truly accelerate their pathway.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's so interesting. And as leaders, we have a big, big responsibility on the impact that we have in the organization. And we are just not aware of it.
Mm,
And that's where I've been working, because I lived through it. I was an automatic pilot. I
mm,
had, a toxic boss, and I left after 25 years of corporate. I
mm,
left because of a toxic boss. And that recently, I mean, that's why I do what I do,
mm,
because I was not aware how that impacted my family.
mm,
I was just not aware, because
mm,
I've lived in 9 places, not 9 countries, but 9 different places, different countries, yes. But in some countries, I lived in a couple of cities. That in Switzerland, for example, I lived in 2, 3 cities. In the United States, in 2, 3 cities. In Latin America, I've been living in Uruguay, Colombia, now Mexico in the past 26 years. And I only know one person that knows how not to take the toxicity of the unconscious, a collective unconsciousness at the workplace into the
Mm.
home. And that's my, that's the godmother of my kids. um, and to know about that impact, that's why I started doing what I do, because I'm obsessed
Mm.
about not bringing that collective unconsciousness of that toxicity created unintentionally of the leaders
Mm.
back into the home. Because when you bring that energy home, I mean, my kids, that was it. It hurt a lot when they told me.
Mm.
They told me, Mom, did you know that when you got into the driveway, we would make us sleep so we wouldn't face your energy? That really hurt me,
Mm.
but that turned into my power skill right now to do what I do.
Mm.
And we are just not aware.
Mm.
And now I say there are no toxic bosses. They are just unconscious minds. And that's why
Mm.
it's so important to bring that conscious leadership
Mm.
into the organizations. And the only way is to tap into our own unconsciousness,
Yes.
into our subconscious,
Yes.
to really start
Mm. Peeling the
peeling
layer.
that onion,
Yes.
because 70% of us, we are not us.
Mm.
We are the beliefs that we learned, the values, what my
Mm.
mother told me, what my
Yeah.
father told me, what my
Yeah.
boss told me, what
Yeah.
my colleague told me, what my supposed to be friend, or the
Mm.
one that bullied. But with a bully, there is always a buller.
Mm.
So I had a toxic boss, but I
Mm.
found out, and it hurt horribly, that I was toxic to my girls at that point in time.
Mm. Mm.
Definitely, don't do it intentionally. So it's what you said. It's so important to
Yes.
go and tap into our subconscious and
Yes.
unconscious, both things, so we become our true selves. And
Yes.
authenticity is the best attribute of a leader, because at that point you can really unleash your full potential and become inspirational for your teams to do the same.
Mm. And I'm sure your experiences have have sculpted you, and then I think it goes into your lead framework that I think the audience would love to know about. And just like to add a little bit here that I truly resonate with your story. And during COVID was a time that I was in a deep burnout because of what the pandemic caused. And I was not only was I burned out, I was also very anxious during my work time because there's just so many things to keep up with. And at the end of the day, I brought that frustration, that anxiety, that anger, and I
Are
unleashed
you,
them on my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old and my wife. And it got so bad. It got so bad that it went on and on and on, and I wasn't seeing what's actually happening. My wife told me that you go from zero to volcano, but I wasn't listening. I said that there's no such thing. I was in denial, and I'm aware I was. On hindsight, I know I was in denial until I was in denial until a day where I locked myself up in the washroom and I was scrolling my phone and I was looking for a room to rent because I felt that there's no point me staying with my wife and kids anymore because every day we just go through this cycle of quarreling, of anger, of everything. And but then they were 3 and 5, and and I just could not bring myself to do that. And if I were to really continue being part of the family, I need to check in with what's actually happening. And that was when I started seeing, oh, this happened. I started practicing mindfulness and I started noticing where my anger started, how was I triggered, and then I pieced through the breadcrumbs and finally decided to know that, oh, I have to let these things go. I can't bring this home. I need to process this, or else it'll just explode at home. It's like a ticking time bomb. And and I could truly resonate with your story as well, Maya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. But it's very impactful, and we just don't realize it because we're
Mm,
on an automatic pilot. I mean, there are different forms of people getting that frustration out. Some
mm,
people just come home and they want to be on their own and
mm,
ignore, and somehow are ignoring their loved ones.
mm,
Some people just go to the gym and come home and then they don't see the kids.
mm,
But it's not intentional. It's just we're not aware of it,
mm,
and what that impacts. So when we start in an organization
mm.
and we self lead ourselves
Yes.
to really bring our unleash our full potential, being us, the
Mm,
authenticity, then we
mm,
can inspire. And when we inspire, we become a role model for others who is contagious. That positive part is also contagious. And that's when we create a safe environment for everyone to flourish,
yes.
and that's when we can overcome any obstacle in
Yes.
in the organization.
Mm,
And but with that, we need to be well, in our mindset, in our
mm,
heart, spiritually, emotionally.
yes.
And when that works, then we can create magic, and
Yeah.
that has a ripple effect, in engagement,
Mm,
in commitment, in
mm,
productivity,
mm,
in actually communication. Because not that people don't want to communicate inter
mm,
areas,
mm,
it's just because their mind is so busy,
mm,
so busy. And then obviously what lacks is collaboration because we don't
mm.
communicate,
Yeah.
and that ends up in productivity,
Mm,
less productivity.
mm,
And at the end, it comes down to results. And we know
mm,
that organizations always look at results. We have shareholders that are looking upon us to
mm,
bring more value, shareholders' value to it
mm.
at the end of it. But for that, we need to really take care of the human being. And there are
Yes.
still too many organizations that only look at processes.
Mm,
And
yes.
and then we say, after COVID, there is still a lot of mental health
Mm,
issues going around in companies. That again, turnover is very very high,
mm,
um, but at the end, it's because of that toxicity. 4 out of 5 people quit their jobs because of a toxic environment, not
mm.
because of the company nor the role,
Not because
because
of the higher pay. Yeah.
exactly. It's
Mm,
because of the toxicity. And
mm,
that is what you do and what I do in a different perspective.
mm.
Um, Really brings consciousness to another level.
Yes. And I like to just mention that you mentioned toxicity and toxicity, and if you could imagine that carrying all our negative emotional baggages, carrying all our unprocessed traumas, carrying all those things that we have carried on for years without actually knowing, this is what causes. You can imagine that prolonged cortisol, the inflammation is the toxicity that's happening within the body. And when this is a leader, when it's the boss, this toxicity is brought to the workplace. He spews toxicity, criticism. He puts up a wall where nobody can reach him in the office because of how prickly and how bristled the boss is, like having like a lot of spikes. There is everyone tiptoes in the office. Everyone, it feels like walking on eggshells. That's where communications break down. People don't collaborate. People do not work together because everyone's afraid. And this is when the
Yes.
productivity, the efficiency, the teamwork, everything goes down. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end, it's
Mm,
trust. I mean, if you don't feel trustworthy, or if I don't have trust in you, I mean, there is a say, people don't follow strategy,
mm,
they follow certainty because it's a human need.
Mm,
And if the boss emanates that he's untouchable, that he cannot be approached, that he cannot, then where stands, I mean, something that the human condition, hey, absolutely is scared of is uncertainty.
mm,
And that breaks just moving forward in the organizations on sustainable growth breaks
mm.
down.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So going back to a little bit more medical on our body, how
Yeah.
does the nervous system mirror the culture of an organization?
Mm. I guess we alluded to that in some way. When the nervous system is taut, like a tension wire, and what that looks like in biology is that the sympathetic nervous system is always active. We are always constantly in fight or flight or freeze or fawn. And what happens is it drives the adrenaline, the cortisol. We are always at the ready. We are always at the ready to fight, and we are not ready to relax, to listen in, to hear, to take stock, to be patient. And this reflects in the organization because the tension in the body um, being so tight and the heart rates are high, the blood pressure is high because this is what the body needs to run faster to increase your heart rate. So the blood pressure is higher to bring the nutrients to the muscles. But but you're not fighting off tigers, you're not fighting off saber-tooth tigers, but we are fighting deadlines. And when these things and cannot process that, we cannot process all the demands that we have, the body is in this constant state of tension. And this, like we mentioned earlier, when the leader is holding this, it leaks out. It leaks out through his words, his actions, his body language. In the boardroom, people are on edge because not sure what's coming from the boss next when he is in this mode or is this bad mode, bad temper. And this tension is then reflected in the boardroom where there's pin drop silence, where people talk in whispers. And this is like you can imagine being able to cut the tension with a knife. And this is what's happened in the body and is translated into the office and the boardroom. And this is what I believe. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, looking at change, change is today a constant.
Mm,
And when there is even a rumor
mm,
in an organization that there is going to be a structural change or
mm,
a process change or a new business unit is added or whatever,
mm,
that
mm,
kind of paralyzes
mm,
a lot of the people.
mm,
So to manage that adequately is really important. Why? Because people get stuck, people get paralyzed, people just because their minds start working,
mm,
overworking,
mm,
saying, well, I'm going to get fired.
mm.
Um, all the fears kind of flourish,
Yeah.
the insecurities of people. Even the
Yes.
most successful person from an other points of view. I mean,
Mm,
because they achieved a lot, they achieved great results, that doesn't mean that they don't have any fears in them.
yeah.
And what really causes the toxic environment is a mask of
Yes.
ego,
Mm,
of those insecurities and on those fears of
mm,
failure,
mm,
fears of, success.
mm,
Can I hold that all in? Or
mm,
fear of rejection, of it all depends, different fears,
mm.
but those are the most common one, or not feeling enough because of
Yeah.
the story that we tell ourselves when we're a kid that no
Yes.
one else told us. We
Mhm.
made it up and we made it
Mm,
real and we made decisions and we shaped our destiny with that,
yeah.
even though it wasn't real.
Yes. And
So so here it is. No more blaming to anyone. It's your responsibility. I have some
yes.
news for you, which is
Yes.
really hard.
We need
It's
to
not
do
because my
housekeeping.
dad abandoned me or my mom or because my brother always bugged me or whatever. No, 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 no. That story was yours. That really shaped your destiny where you are today. But there is no time. Let's put it that way. There is no other time to unleash that but today. When you if you feel that. So
Yeah.
um, how does that affect? Where does that get trapped in our bodies?
Yes, yes. Thank you for the question, Maya. And the body keeps the score, and the body keeps the score in so many ways. When we talk about from the Western perspective, the body keeps the score in the posture, how we breathe, how we move, and in the Eastern perspective, each organs they store the emotions, and the emotions of fear are held in the kidneys. The emotions of anger are held in the liver, and there are practices to release those emotions. And chronically, if unprocessed, it shows up as illness, it shows up as pain, as different manifestations of the emotion itself. And and what you said, Maya, that we need to do the emotional housekeeping. All of us carry with us um, bad memories, traumatic memories, and many of us we carry this heavy backpack, without actually knowing what's inside, and it weighs us down. This weighs down our
Yes.
energy, it weighs down our present, it weighs down the conversation that we have with people, because we are all this unprocessed stuff we are carrying, it just leaks out, and it colors all the interactions that we have. And what we need to do is, what I realized or truly helpful for myself, is the process of mindfulness. And subsequently, for those who are inclined meditation, this is when you start noticing your emotions, you start noticing your feelings, you start to notice, starting with sensations, and you start noticing these thoughts, and you realize that these thoughts, where are they coming from? Did they come from this conversation? No, it probably started sometime earlier. And where is that? And this is where a mentor or a coach would truly be helpful to piece out, to help you piece together the puzzle, and to help you unravel all those tangled emotions that you've been carrying for so long. And once we can do that, the emotional backpack is so much lighter. We feel so much vibrant. We bring that joy, that positivity, that happiness. And everyone, as you said, Maya, is contagious. We start to bring up the energy of the room, and people start to feel safe. There's a sense of safety, there's a sense of trust, and the interactions, they prosper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it's I mean, we don't think energy is so important, but it's key, because what I've learned in the past years, it was not that way before. I tell you
Mm,
that. But when something upsets you, it's always the question, is it worthwhile? Is it worthwhile my energy? Because energy is limited every day. you know is it worth it that I get out energy to that, or should I just shift into
mm,
something positive that
mm.
gives me even more energy?
Yes.
uh, and that really has given me more peace of mind, actually,
Mm,
internally,
yes.
which helps then the productivity and moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, if you walked into a boardroom,
Mm,
or uh, what subtle signs would tell you a culture is burning out?
I see. I would say that when we walked into the boardroom, and I imagine in my experience in the hospital boardroom,
Yeah.
it's is to catch the nervous glances, is to catch the chatter that's happening, or the absence of chatter, is to catch the temperature or tension, or the ease that's inside the room. And is for those who are in tune with themselves, who are present, it's very easy to check into this, to notice the body language of the people that's within. And from that we know the temperature, the emotional state of everyone in the room. But when a person, and this comes with presence, come with mindful presence. Because if you're so caught up with what's happening inside, you are not able to interpret what's the information that's coming from the outside. And I'm not sure whether I answered your question, Maya, but that is how I could tell that something is off in the room just by reading the faces, listening for the chatter, and then looking at where are the people's vision, where are they looking at? Are they like shifting glances? Are they looking away? That is how we get the pulse of the room.
Right, right. So interesting. It's so, so interesting.
Yeah.
Now, if science could measure consciousness,
Mm.
what would we see in a coherent leader?
This is truly interesting question. This is where we could go into the very techie side of things, or we could go towards the how to say self-observation or so mindful observation of ourselves. If we go to the hard metrics that that leaders would probably want, I think one is I think most of us carry a smartwatch now, and many of us have this what we call heart rate variability. HRV is a measure of the body's coping, the body's resilience. How is it recovering? And it's also a measure of how it's a I would say it's a proxy of a person's coherence. And if a person is unbalanced, stressed out, fatigued, unrested, the HRV values will be very, very low. And it will be reflective of the person's physical state, recovery state, and this could easily translate to the person's emotional state because a tired, fatigued person will likely be easily triggered, frustrated, and angry. And this
Yeah.
is a proxy. And if we will go one level deeper, organizations like HeartMath, they have heart coherence measures that we can tap on. And there are practices that we can use to increase the coherence, to be more in tune with the brain and the heart, to be allow us to process whatever we are carrying much, much easier and faster. Yes, and these are some of the methods that we can do. And also being able to check in with ourselves, noticing the pain, the fatigue, the hunger, noticing where our body state is, allows us to be coherent first with ourselves. We know where we are and we know what our body needs now. It probably needs rest, it probably needs a drink of water, it probably needs to go to the toilet, it probably needs a soothing massage, so many things. Once we check in our body, we are present with ourselves. We can then be more coherent with the people around us because when we ignore ourselves, likelihood you're gonna ignore other people around us.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, now that we are a little bit more conscious about it and we are in an evolution, we see that. But when
Mm,
you're in the middle of the storm, sometimes you take it, well, this is the cost that I need to pay,
yeah.
to be in such a high position or whatever. It's just the conditioning that we've gotten
Mm,
previously.
mm,
And we look just at achievement and not
mm,
fulfillment, you know.
mm, mm,
Tony Robbins always says achievement without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
mm, mm. Yes.
It's so, so true.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think, what blocks leaders from reaching or reclaiming their inner power without years of therapy? Because you are a specialist of turning that in minutes and seconds, without years of therapy.
Hmm.
Tell us a little
Um,
bit more about it, Kuan Yu.
okay. Yeah. Let me try to unpack it in a easy way. Um, I guess previously you talked about energy, and we hold patterns, emotional patterns. We hold unprocessed unprocessed trauma. We hold it in different parts of the body. This is where we say the body keeps the score. And what I do is that with a deep understanding of neuroscience and the subconscious mind, and also the energy body, or we call it the biofield, what I do is I speak to the higher consciousness. I speak to the higher intelligence or the wisdom of the body, and I help the person through a process of what I call quantum entanglement, where although I'm remote, I could be 16,000 kilometers from Mexico, but I could still effect the
Feel it.
change locally. Yes. And this process is like honoring the person, honoring the person's wisdom, and working with their body. And what I do is like I guide them through some somatic practices that help them release whatever they're holding on. And this held on pattern, it could be there for 4 5 decades even. And with the right approach, and then it's like you can think of it like surgical precision. I could release what has been holding a person back for 30 40 years. Yeah, and this is the beauty of quantum trauma transmutation. And I just want to be cognizant that I'm also uh, answering your query in the right way. And you are saying that how do sorry, Maya, your question again?
It is basically what blocks leaders from reclaiming their
Oh,
own power
yes, yes.
without the years of therapy.
And if we talk about what blocks a person's true essence, true power, the presence, it would be one, the unprocessed thoughts. Um, the person cannot see their own qualities when they are caught up with anxiety, when they're caught up with worry, when everything they care about is, will people notice that I'm an imposter? And then all the attention is looking outside, and they don't realize their own brilliance, they won't realize their own strengths, their own achievements, because now they're looking for the radar is always looking for external validation, always looking for the next bad thing that could happen. And that is when a person is not in tune with who they are. And the second thing is the unprocessed stuff that we've been carrying from childhood, the need to please, or
Oh,
the
yeah.
the need to please, the sense of unworthiness, the sense of the lack of self-worth, confidence. All these things are are what drains a person's energy, because we may not know it, but the mind is just constantly the thoughts, the subconscious thoughts are always going there, being drained by this black hole of negative energy. And when this happens, a person cannot be truly present, they cannot be in tune with their own energy, their presence, and their brilliance. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, we really have to become very observant of our body, our
Mhm.
emotions,
Yes.
even though we don't like to feel vulnerable,
Mhm.
especially in organizations when you're a leader. What did you learn? Oh, you have to be tough. Oh, you can't show your emotions. I
Yes.
remember those times, as a leader, as a top leader. But it's so important because then we can create also a connection, and we can create empathy, compassion. We can
Yes.
create all that's so much missing of those beliefs that we have of ourselves that we don't believe.
Yes.
I mean, the biggest two like fears in the world is I'm not loved and I'm not enough. And from there it branches out in fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection, fear. But those are like the 70-30, or
Mhm.
from there it branches out. And it's to get conscious about it, observant of it is part of reclaiming your own certainty and who you are truly are, you know um, well,
Mhm.
time goes fast. We're almost at the end, my dear. But if the audience allows us, we'll go 5 minutes over because we were a little bit late because of technical issues. Is that okay with everyone? Hope so. You're enjoying this. Well, I'm enjoying it so much. So I hope you guys are too. Um, so in your perspective, what is the most
Mhm.
dangerous leadership symptom organizations ignore?
Hmm. Hmm. I think there are quite a few. What is the most dangerous symptom that organizations ignore? Let's hark back to the scenario that you talked about the rumor of a possible acquisition, a possible new business unit, and this rumor starts putting everyone on edge. It starts putting everyone on high alert, and then their work focus is not there anymore. And what is the remedy to this? And what's actually happening is, one is the lack of communication, the lack of safety, the lack of
Collaboration.
trust, because they are not sure what's going on. If there's no clear message, clarifying message from the top, everyone lives in this tension, in this state of uncertainty, and this is truly toxic. And this is one of those things: the communications, the trust, the transparency, and there are many others. But just using what you brought up just now, this illustrates how important it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think also the mind is so powerful.
Mhm.
We create stories all the time,
Yes.
and we create them I mean, if you tell yourself you're not a good storyteller, that's a big lie. You tell
Mm,
yourself stories from a very early age.
mm,
Um, and and the mind can be so strong. So to reclaim your certainty, your own certainty, what you can control, is the first step, and that starts with belief in yourself.
yes.
Then we turn into a decision
Mm,
that we believe that,
mm,
and then we commit to that, to ourselves, because when that certainty is within us, there can be a tsunami outside,
mm,
and we're still, and for this you need a purpose, you need a north to move
yes.
forward step by step, 1 millimeter shift at a time.
Mm,
The smallest half millimeter is
mm.
already 1/2 millimeter closer to where we want to go.
Atomic
And
age.
yeah, and I think that's a way of solving that uncertainty. Because today, I mean, we have geopolitical issues, we have economical issues, we have, political issues in every single country. There is some, not every single country, but in many, there is polarization going on. Um, and it's all not controllable by us,
Mm,
and that takes energy. Again, going back to the point that we had before, uh, if you can't control it, don't involve it. You
mm.
show you as an example, and that is contagious,
Mm,
and that will ripple off
mm,
into others. But if you
mm,
try and control big masses, then it becomes frustrating, because you don't
mm.
see the movement, you don't see maybe the it becomes frustration.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I had one of my clients,
Mhm.
actually. He is a fiscal, and one of his when I asked him what's your biggest challenge with change, is that people don't comply. He's a
Mhm.
fiscal. He wants, and I said to him, try and control and be an example yourself. And I know that will ripple off, because they want to mirror you, you know? And that's the importance of having maybe someone that holds you accountable, is have a mentor or a coach that helps you get to where you want, but that mentor or coach already has gotten there.
Mm,
And that's a way of dealing with. all the stress, all the burnout, all that, um, in these dynamic times where everything seems to be upside down.
If I may, Maya, I just like to to tell a story about the toxicity, and then
Yeah.
the mask, and then the miscommunication, but how it turns out well. Is that okay? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
wonderful. I
yeah.
think the audience will appreciate that.
Yeah, I just had this conversation with this high exec at IBM, and then she tells me that this is the story of communication. There was her the people who are reporting to her, leader A and leader B. Leader A is accusing leader B of poaching his staff, and then they complain to this high exec, and the exec, what she does was, she's after a long day, busy day, 5 6 p.m. What she does is that she pulls both of them into the room and said that both of you are adults, sort it out within the two of you, and that was the end of it. However, subsequently, when she left, leader B texted her, and she actually said that I am disappointed. I didn't feel heard. There was no chance for me to explain my side of the story. And this is when the high exec took a step back and then realized that in her fatigue, in her tiredness, in her exhaustion, at the end of the day, she did not want to invest any energy in this, and so she just tried to um, execute the issue as fast as possible. And so when she noticed this, she apologized to leader B. And what happened after that is that this gained leader B's respect. And now, many years later, leader B is one of the most loyal staff in the organization. It's because it's because of that communication. It's because of that trust that was built. It was that vulnerability to say what's actually happening inside, and the ability of the leader to actually listen, to open that channel of communication. And this built something stronger, something so strong that a higher salary, a better opportunity will not entice this leader B to go away, because that trust, that belief, that connection has already been made. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful and that's so transformative.
Yeah.
And just sometimes to show what we want in the workplace. We spend so much time in the workplace to be
Yes.
listened to. I
Mm,
mean, how many of us are not listened to? And it's a human need
mm,
to be listened to. And what that transforms them, loyalty. I mean, today to replace anyone
mm,
is so costly because until that person is again up to date to the learning curve, that
mm,
the one that leaves,
mhm,
that costs 1.5 to 2 times the annual salary of the one that leaves.
mm,
So and just make a calculation. 79% of the people leaving today is
mhm,
because probably a toxic environment, which was even unintentional. It was
mm,
just unconscious.
mm,
And we can really bring that back
mm,
to a very safe space when we start taking time to listen to our collaborators, to our peers, and speak the truth and act the truth. Two
yes.
components that are very difficult to find, but make wonders and magic in organizations.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, our time is up, Kuan Yu, and I just want to thank you so much for your time and want to ask you, do you have a last message to our audience?
Oh, thank you, Maya. Thank you for having me here. It's truly been an honor to be able to converse with you. One last message is that the energy that we carry within, the frequency and the vibration is contagious. And if we want our to lead a team, we want to lead an organization, we need to first carry that clear positive energy, and this will trickle down the organization and it will be for the benefit of all. And for those who are interested in raising their frequency and their vibration by clearing what's inside, I do have a workshop that's coming up next week, titled Raise Your Frequency. And then for those interested, you can put in your comments on anything. I'll reach out to you. And yes, energy is contagious, and we have to be truly in tune with what we bring to whatever space we are in, and that starts from awareness of our state within. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I wouldn't miss out. So make sure, Kuan Yu, can you put in the comments of this
Yeah.
live
Yes.
the link to your workshop? That would be
Sure.
wonderful.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I just want to thank you so, so much for being here and for getting. I know you were up early because of your kids, but spending that time here instead of, it
No
shouldn't
problem.
be, but you generally get, the kids ready to go to school. Thank you. I really, really appreciated 14 hours of time difference to be here with the audience. And I also want to announce I do have a briefing tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mexico City time, which is Mountain Time, in English, a briefing that's called Executive Risk and Resilience Briefing. And we're going to talk about what unconsciousness, that collective unconsciousness, really costs
Mm,
to the organizations,
mm,
and how to stop the drain of
mm.
those with the Leap Advantage Movement framework.
That would be
Uh,
valuable.
yeah. Well, I also have a session in Spanish at 6:30 in the afternoon, p.m., which is, help me, like 10:30. It's probably 10:30, no, 8:30 a.m. Singapore time for
Mm,
everyone that wants to join. I'm also going to drop the link in the comments
yeah.
on LinkedIn, so you can see it also on Facebook and on Instagram. Looking forward to seeing you again, and have a wonderful day for Singapore and Southeast Asia and
Mm.
wherever you are on the other side of the world.
Mhm.
And for the Americas, have a really nice evening. We really enjoyed being here, and thank you so much, Kuan Yu.
Muchas gracias. Buen día.
Bye bye.